And we're back, folks. Another edition of the Michigan Football Breakdown, focused on the defense with our man, Vance Bedford. This was a tough one, tough week. Only time this season where we're talking about a loss, which is amazing. Don't want that lost in the shuffle of this breakdown, that it has been a fantastic season. One where certainly on defense, they surpassed a lot of expectations, played at an extremely high level. Unfortunately, Vance, here at the very end of the season, on both sides of the football, they played their worst game from a clean standpoint. A lot of mistakes, a lot of MAs in this game. Uh, Really, really costly ones that they almost fought back from. I
Yeah.
mean, you look at all the mistakes they made from the very start to the very finish of this game, and it's amazing that it wound up being a one-score game. But that's why I say after I'm sure to give credit to TCU. I come back and say, man, TCU was better that day. I think Michigan's a better football team, but all that matters is that day, Vance. Hi, Happy New Year, my brother.
Happy New Year out there. Sam, I totally agree with you. It's on that day, the best football team, the best coach football team was TCU. If they played again next week, Michigan, in my opinion, would win by 2 touchdowns. I picked the score 35-27. I knew TCU could move the football, but not like they did. But 14 points came on 2 interceptions for a touchdown. And you look at a lot of plays. We in the red zone, and we get no points twice. We get a fake reverse pass. I still don't understand that. And then we fumble the ball. I mean, that's 14-point turnaround. 2 interceptions. That's 28 touchdown. That's 28 points right there. So we had opportunities. Then on defense, we couldn't stop them. When we needed to make some stops, we did not execute. A lot of times we had people not taking the quarterback, and the key to this ball game was to stop who we said all the time, the quarterback. That's on stop him in crucial situations. They got in the red zone. Guess who beat us? The quarterback. Whether it be escaping the pressure, the blitz, to throw a touchdown pass, or running the football. Either way, when a game was on the line, their playmaker, their quarterback made plays. And that's all that matters.
Yeah, man, it was amazing to see some folks after the game when I was talking about the quarterback, their quarterback being the difference for them on offense. Um, it's like, well, I look at his stats. He didn't play that great. It's like, well, first of all, he was responsible for 4 touchdowns, number one, and then number two, that run game, Vance. Even when he wasn't carrying the football, he was affecting that run, was he not?
Yes, he was. But people who look at stats, they have no idea what stats mean. For example, people know who Aaron Donaldson is for the Rams.
Yeah.
Sometimes he don't have 10 sacks and 15 tackles, but they got to double him every time so other guys around him make plays. That's what this quarterback was. He was like a Aaron Donaldson for the Rams. I mean, if you didn't account for him, he hurt you. And when you did, you overcompensated, the other guys hurt you. So he was a big factor in this ball game because of who he was and what he could do. I mean, it's if he wasn't a runner, they had no chance. Number one, they probably would have lost 4 ball games. They wouldn't be in the first place. That's why when they get a championship game, when you saw what they did versus K-State, you knew what he was and what he could do. And that's key. And that's key.
No doubt. All right, so when you look at it on balance, the most surprising thing to me from a defensive perspective in this game, because I expected them to hit some big plays.
Yeah.
I expected Quentin Johnson, their receiver. They were gonna hit some. I
Yeah.
expected the quarterback to really make some plays, but the way that they ran the football with great success. If you had asked me heading into the game, who's going to run the ball better and who's going to stop the run better, without hesitation, I would have said Michigan. And on both of those questions, Vance, the answer was TCU.
Yes.
They ran the ball better and they stopped the run better. What would you attribute those things to? Was it more MAs? Was it more strategy? Was it more scheming? What would you
It's
attribute their
all of
ability?
them. Everything you just said, is scheme, is execution. Uh, for example, you talk about TCU. When I talk about spread zone replay, that's option football. Option football is assignment football. That sometimes keeps you from being overly aggressive because someone has to take the dive, someone has to take the quarterback. For example, they ran I call it the counter read. So they pull a guard and tackle. So the quarterback, what he does, he sits there, he reads the defensive end. If the defensive end chases, he pulls the ball. He's reading it. But on the outside, the receiver can be running a slant or go route, so it's triple option. And we didn't execute several times on the counter read or the inside zone read. A couple of times we had nobody on the quarterback. We had backers hitting a gap instead of two gapping. So they executed and we did it. On the last long touchdown run. We had an all-out blitz. Everybody, why is he blitzing? On paper, it was a great call. The A gaps were taken. The B gaps were taken. We had two guys blitzing outside, Sam. See, the D gap was taken. The linebacker has the back man to man. I talked about this in the Maryland game. The back of the line in the B gap, the linebackers in A gap. He's outflanked. So there's no gaps inside. He has no reason to ever go straight ahead. Guess what he did? So he goes straight ahead. The back bounces right there to the C gap. It's a touchdown. Was that them? It was them executing. It was us not executing because it was poor alignment.
Yeah.
That was part of the problem.
Yeah, and so again, did they move Michigan off the ball more than I expected them to? Sure they did. But to me, my novice eye, my non-expert eye, I never coached the game, but I have watched a lot of film with Vance Bedford. I have watched a lot of film with Al Borges and Devin Gardner, and I mean my eyes bleed. I watch so much film these days, and that's what it felt like to me. That the bigger issue, and I know they had you. I asked you that question. You can say all of the above, right? But if I had to pick one being more of a problem than any of the rest, it was that, man, they were misfitting the run left and right. Whether it's guys jumping inside when they got contained, whether it's two guys going at the dive and no one having a quarterback, whether it's the linebackers, blocking themselves.
Yeah.
Running up inside and really not understanding where their fits are. That's what I saw with my novice side leading.
Sam, you're right and you're wrong. I know that makes no sense. When I talk about the linebackers, like you just said, running the gaps, they were playing Big Ten football. What I mean by that, they're playing a team that runs a duo, not a zone read play, but just a zone. So when you play against that, you can just get in your gaps, take the doubles off your downs, and now guys can make a play. But you run a zone read play, it means now the quarterback is involved. It's option football. You can't do that. They got a two gap. They got to be able to fall back, start in the gaps you have on paper, but then stack behind the downs. If you don't do that, you're going to be short on the edge, which we were throughout the ball game. It wasn't just one or two plays. I would imagine that happened 10, 12 times. And every time it came 8-yard gain, a 15-yard gain, a touchdown. I mean, so it's a different way the linebackers have to play. Something they haven't done the entire year. And Sam, when you get tired in the ball game as an athlete, you revert back to what you've always done the entire year. And that's what they've been doing the entire year. But it didn't work against a spread zone read team. It just doesn't work that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was tough. It was a bitter pill to swallow at 15. He made the right plays throughout the game, catching Michigan and blitzes, hitting them on some crosses, 2 touchdowns there. We talk about misfitting around in Michigan. That's the thing. Every time they made a mistake, they made them pay. You flip on the other side. In the first half, because just so we aren't putting this, because I think it was a total team loss, just so we aren't saying that it was all the mistakes of the players. This wasn't just players. This was coaches too. I thought tactically in the first half of this game, you got to get an edge to TCU. You got to get an edge to TCU. They came out and Michigan couldn't run the football the way they wanted to run the football. TCU bottled that up. Now, coaching staff adjusted. They started attacking the edge more toward the end of the first half and really involving JJ in a run in that outside run attack a lot more in the second half. Play action off of it. They destroyed them statistically in the second half. But by that point, you're already down. It's a Big 12 game, and you got a whole half where they've gotten a chance to really get some confidence, get some rhythm, and you lost the opportunity to really control the game with your run game. So this is where I'm going with this question. You said all week it's going to be hard, if not impossible, to run inside on this defense. People see the 3-3-5, they think it's soft running inside. It is not. You said, Sam, B gap to B gap is closed. Why were you saying that? Can you explain the technical side of why that's the case?
Well, they got inside, Sam. You have a guy, we call it a 4-eye. In other words, he's an inside shade of the tackle, which makes him a B gap player. So you have two guys aligned that way. They have a 325-pound nose. Technically, he has A gap to A gap. Everybody heard about the Chicago Bears back in the day, the Bear defense. Okay, that defense has been in place since the 30s, but they made it famous. So instead of being a Bear where you got two guys walked up on the line of scrimmage, they stack those guys back. So in other words, they become flow players. But you got to block it like Bear defense. People who block Bear defense, they don't attack inside. They attack B, C, and D. Because you can gap down and attack the perimeter. Inside, you can't because you can't get to the backers. And now, because the guys in the 4-eye, for example, outside one play, you run a duo with a guard, with a tackle, with the tight end. They tried to double it down and then climb for the backer. As soon as that guy turned outside, he ran through his in the backfield for a 4-yard loss. So when you play against that defense, you need to go get the linebackers right now. But if you got a 4-eye, you really can't do that because if the guard releases right now for the linebacker, you can't block the 4-eye. The B gap is closed. And that's the problem they had all day long is that the weakness of that defense is to attack the perimeters and the safeties. When you're trying to attack inside, they got too many bodies in there. And they running, I'll call it quarter robbers. Them guys sitting there say, you can throw the football, but you're not going to run it. And I want you to go back. I said, what Michigan needs to do is watch what TCU did versus the University of Texas. Different offense, but they had to stop that running back. So Michigan's a running team. You're going to see the same game plan. What do you got to do? Stop the run. Almost the same identical game plan that you saw versus Texas. Different run game, same game plan. And I don't think our guys really understood what they were facing when you play that defense. There are no gaps in A and B gap. They close.
Yeah, they figured it out. It just was a little bit. It's just a little bit later. It wasn't at the start of the game. You know what? And I shouldn't. Let me not say that. Let me not say they didn't figure it out. These guys forgot more football than a lot of us were. I think what they thought was, "Are we gonna bust these dudes up?" They got bodies in there.
Yeah.
They got bodies in there. We gonna bust them up. Yeah, we know it's hard to run inside. So what? We gonna push them around. We gonna bully these guys in the middle, and found out after about a quarter and a half or so that's not gonna work against this team.
Now you have to try. The things you've been doing all year, you got to try it.
Right.
And I totally get that. But you need to be able to make adjustments extremely fast. When you see something's not working like the first play, everybody got excited, including I. But I saw what happened. The linebacker was supposed to steal the football. The safety was coming down like a banshee. He was sitting there right there unblocked. But he didn't spill it. And the ball hit him for take down to the 3-yard line. That's the only time they made that mistake, Sam. Mm-hmm. They spilled everything outside to take away all cutbacks. They took away vertical seams in their defense. They said, if you're going to beat us, you got to beat us outside, and we have speed to run you down. And that's what you saw the whole ball game. When we finally started attacking outside and got our quarterback involved, they had problems just like we had problems. They had the same issues that we had. Right. It was no different because you're doing the same thing. You're putting guys inside, kicking out, and the quarterback is reading it. Defensive end closed, I take off. Defensive end stays high, I give it, and the ball turns up. So they had the same problem.
Yeah, they did. It was. I'm laughing at what you said. They did have the same problems Michigan had.
Yes, they did.
After a point. And on that ISO, look, that first one hit big. They ran that play 5 more times after. So they ran it 6 times in the game.
They didn't work the other 5.
Well, I think it worked one other time. I think one time they got it for 6 yards. The other 4, it didn't hit at all.
Yeah, but the one on 6 yards, he bounced that out.
Yeah.
He bounced it out to the C gap.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why he had a chance. But again, A and B gaps in that defense, if you got a good nose and we didn't get much movement, you got a problem. So you can't double a nose. A lot of people like to double a nose and climb. You can't double the nose because if you do that, then the 4 eye is going to be free. The guard can't do that. And that's part of the problem in that defense. You got to figure out how to block those guys. And I always go back to people don't know who Warren Sapp is. When he played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they played 4-3 defense. Sam, he played not a 3 technique. He was almost like a 4 eye. And the biggest thing, people say, how can we block this guy? He's too wide for the guard. He's inside the tackle. He's a problem. Well, when you run a 3-3 stack, that's what you're dealing with. That 4 eye is a problem. How do you block?
Yeah. So what do you think about the amount of, because this is another thing, and I'm gonna get to your questions. If you have questions for Vance, start loading them up now. I'm gonna try to get heavier with the questions coming off of this game, especially since the last game of the season. Certainly, like I said, they didn't play their best. But there was a lot of criticism of the amount of blitzing in the second half. Did you find that to be out of character? Did you find that some people say, "Oh, they were panicking, blitzing so much," or it looked like Don Brown, or "Oh, this is what Ohio State did"? I heard a lot of people say a lot of stuff about how aggressive Michigan got in the second half. How did that strike you? And was it out of character to you? Did you feel like it was a panic move? What did you think of that?
He did what he's always done because it was working so well. People never gave it much thought. Sam, he was blitzing in the first half. He was blitzing in the first half. He had some good plays, had some bad plays. In the second half, he did what he's always done. The difference is they out executed us. Okay, on the 70-yard touchdown pass, it was a blitz. It was a mesh route. A mesh route is 2 crossing routes, and what it is, it's a rub route. They're trying to pick one guy, and everybody said, "Well, Turner missed a tackle." Turner came off of his guy to try to make the play. The guy got picked was Johnson. It was a mess where he got picked. Now, in the first quarter, Turner got picked when they were inside the 5-yard line on the
Yep.
mesh over that blitz on. That time he got picked by the tight end and the slot receiver. So twice in that ball game in blitzing situations, they ran a mesh route and we got picked. So only thing I could figure out is that TCU said in certain situations, we know we don't get either man pressure or zero blitz pressure. So it's a couple times in third down situations, they ran the mesh route, which is great for zero pressure if the quarterback can get it off. He didn't blitz any more this game than he did any other game. So when it doesn't work, that's when people start making comments. When it was working, oh, he called a great game. He's a genius. We haven't given up any plays in the second half forever. Well, this game here, we just got hit. It was the wrong time, wrong place, and wrong game. Therefore, we at home.
So I know you've been in situations where you had teams didn't play their best football. You got a lot of people asking coming off of this one is this a bowl prep thing? I think they're 1-6 in Jim's tenure here in bowl games. So the question I'm getting to that I see from a lot of people is, how did you guys handle bowl prep? What was the best lead up or lead in or routine that you had going into bowl games? Because if you're Michigan, I imagine that's something that you're looking at when you haven't had success, and especially this year when you played so well, so clean all year long, and you made so many mistakes in this game.
There's no correct answer to that. I worked with Urban Meyer. He won a national championship at Florida. Okay, we were a physical football team. We practiced hard. I worked with Lloyd Carr. We won a national championship. We went out to the Rose Bowl real early. And boy, we got after it. I mean, it was like blood of your nose type football. It was like 2-day camp. And we ended up beating Washington State, going undefeated that year. So there's no answer to that. Some people, they just take it easy. Some people take it hard. I go back to last year versus Georgia. Georgia was a better football team.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
This particular game here, I thought we were a better football team. We just came up short because we didn't execute. I mean, so there's no correct answer because everyone has a different philosophy when you go there. How do you practice? How long? How hard? There's no correct answer. It's who you are and what you believe in. And the most important thing is getting your best players to the game as fresh as they possibly can and go execute.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see coming off of this the lessons that were learned, because I asked you a lot of things going into this game, and I said, man, are they going to try to game the linebackers? What's your biggest concern heading into this game? I know you said number 15, but boy, it really seemed like um, their linebackers made a lot of plays in this game. Lot of run throughs in this game, right? Just really, really wreaking havoc. And that's where I think their offense kind of exploited Michigan the most in this contest, unfortunately.
I totally agree. I mean, let's talk about both linebackers on both teams. Okay, their linebackers were run through guys because of what they're playing 3-3 stack. Our linebackers are used to playing teams that just don't run the zone replay. They run it through also. The difference is they had a quarterback that was pulling the football. When we started doing the same thing, they didn't stop us either. I mean, when I look at it, we didn't adjust fast enough defensively to take away certain plays. We've done what we've done for the previous 12, 13 games, like we were playing in the Big Ten when the quarterback wasn't a runner. And that got us in trouble. And again, I'm going back to when you go to the video on a long touchdown run. The blitz, in my opinion, was a great call.
Mm-hmm.
The execution by the linebacker was poor. His alignment was poor. If he'd have been over to the B gap to that side, now he might miss the tackle, but if he makes it, it's only a 2-yard gain. So that's execution on our part. And they did a great job to back, jump cut, get vertical touchdown. I mean, so there's some things there that we would have gotten cleaned up. It's like Kansas State. They lost to TCU the first time. I mean, they beat TCU. They lost to them the first time. They beat them the second time. If we had them another time, we beat them by 2-3 touchdowns. My opinion.
Yeah, certainly. Even with everything that we're talking about, I mean, if Michigan has one less pick six or score in the red zone, one of those times, right? I mean, just the mistakes.
If we get 2 field goals, we probably win the game.
Yeah.
The first time going down there, we went for it on 4th down. I'm thinking, okay, 4th down, we're finna run the ball at BC gap. When I saw that play, I'm like, oh my goodness. I mean, so if you kick the field goal, that's 3 points. The next time we get down there, don't give it to the fullback. Either the quarterback keep it or your running back keep it. I'm not giving it to a guy who touched the ball 10 times a game, 10 times a whole year. I'm a defensive coach. I don't like tricks. When you coach with me and you got tricks, they don't work, I'm pissed off. That's just my attitude. Let's line up. Let's just play good fundamental football and let's go win a ball game that way.
Mm-hmm. So getting to the questions, Tyler W said, and we kind of touched on this already, but it said, Vance, did they out scheme or did they out muscle our guys in the middle? Haven't seen movement like that all year on Mozzie, on Cam Good, on the guys in the middle. Mozzie, Chris Jenkins, Cam Good in there. What do you think? Was it out scheming or out muscling guys mostly in the middle?
Their scheme gave them the opportunity to out muscle us. What I mean by that is that, again, because the quarterback was involved in the run game, they double our guys. Normally, we run guys through to get the double off. They never took their doubles off because the quarterback was involved. So they put the pressure on our backers to make plays, and our backers, they didn't show up in the ball game to make plays, especially when the quarterback on the jump cut. That was more than our backers. So their scheme gave them the opportunity to push us around a little bit is what that was.
Charlene Manley said, what about referees taking the touchdowns from Michigan and they didn't do nothing about the targeting? They need to stop paying off the referees.
I really don't like officials, so you're talking to the wrong guy. I mean, I saw one clip where the guy was in the end zone, right? But he didn't have control of the ball.
Right.
Once he got control of the ball, he was then in the end zone. Initially, when he landed, he wasn't, but he didn't have control of the football. When he controlled the football, he was in the end zone. The official had to be drunk, had to bet on the game. So when I was a coach, I couldn't say that. Now I can. I think the official had to bet on the game. Tell them to come find me if they want me to. Tell them to come in my backyard if they want me to. I don't believe in guns, but I got a hammer and I got a snow shovel because I got snow on the ground. I'm ready for the officials.
All right. Kellen Sandiford said, did Michigan just need an edge player to make a play? I thought 18-0 played the best on defense. So what do you think? There were some times where they did get caught giving up edge contain.
Our edge players, if you grade them in this ball game, they probably have 70. They're in the C range, man. They're in the C range because
19 was
okay. I mean, so to me, they're in the C range. They didn't play up to how they've been playing. For example, the one show on the video we showed on the breakdowns, we got rock, and the guy falls back inside and the ball bounces all the way outside. Another time, he's just playing fundamentals. For some reason, he jumps inside and the safety's coming down right now. We haven't done that the entire year. When we play base defense, we play a 9 technique. So in other words, he's outside. He's technically a D-gap player. And for some reason, this ball game, they tried to be overly aggressive on their tight ends, and they kept jumping inside, and the ball bounced outside. So no, our edge players didn't play great this ball game. They did not.
Yeah, I tell you what. One time, Braden McGregor saved the touchdown. Another long run, playing quarterback and the running back on the play because your linebackers ran up inside and
he ran and blocked himself. He ran right up Miles' back. Bam, hit him in the back. I mean, again, he did not understand the offense he was playing against. And I don't mean to say anything about Michigan's coaches and defending this, but as a guy who's been in that conference and seen that, been in the AAC defending those kind of plays, we never ran our linebackers through. And as I researched it over the years, most people don't run their linebackers through because you got to two-gap the guys because the quarterback is now a runner.
Christopher Robinson, how much did not having a healthy Mike Morris and Blake Corum hurt us in this game? Man, immensely.
Big Mike wasn't healthy.
Yeah.
And you needed Blake in there because your running back got tired. He got beat up. He got tired. So if you're playing 2 running backs and running the ball the way we normally do it, if Big Mike is in there, Big Mike could probably push that guy around. He's 6'6" and 290. I didn't know he was that big. Playing defensive end, it made a big difference. So we missed those guys. We could say we did. We missed those guys in this ball game.
They missed Blake, and I don't think there's a player they missed more than Blake. He's their best player all year long, but it was so glaring in this game because your backup tailback was playing linebacker at the beginning of the year, right? And you're counting on him in crucial red zone situations, right? He's the lead blocker on the reverse pass on the Philly special, on the first red zone play, and then he's the guy that you're giving the ball to the second time. In both plays, I felt to me, and I said this. And into I thought JJ running the football was going to be a big factor as we got in the game. To me, they got to attack the edge more. Got to run JJ more. Period. You got to get him involved more. Period. Because he's your second best running back now. Yeah. At this point, and that wound up being how they played in the second half. Like, all right, Donovan, you're our primary ball carrier. JJ, yeah, you're number 2. You're the number 2 tailback in this game.
They made a great adjustment in the second half, really late in the second quarter, doing those type of things. But I'm going to look at the totality of the entire season. They didn't run JJ because if he gets injured, who was the quarterback backing him up? They didn't have a guy.
Yeah.
But he was hurt. There wasn't a guy. So because as a coach, you've been doing things for that long, and all of a sudden you get in the game, you're not used to going back and thinking about that because you hadn't done it the whole time. You stick with what got you there. And sometimes that's why when you talk about a coordinator, you want to have good assistant coaches around you. Hey, coach, let's go to this. Coach, let's go to that. So it's not just a coordinator. It's the assistant coach. I had a great defensive line coach when I was at Louisville. He's not a DC of Seattle. We playing this one team, so our whole thing was we're going to stunt the whole time with our front. We call it thumbs. The tackle, penetrate, defensive end stuff come inside. So I'm running this. He said, Vance, just straight rushing. Straight rushing, got 2 or 3 sacks because now they were playing for the stunt. I didn't see it, but that's why you have other coaches on the staff. They're supposed to see it too. It's not just one guy. It's a committee. One guy might make the call, but he needs people in his ear saying, hey, coach, try this. Coach, try that. Coach, this is not working. Let's go here. So it's a lot of people are responsible for either helping out to make a call or make a change, or when you don't make a call or make a change, they're just as responsible.
Right. Here's one from Mark. He said, I feel like our O-line was confused most of the game with who to block. 3-3-5 definitely got him. We keep talking about those run-throughs. You got some linebackers who got some running shots, some clean shots throughout the game.
It did. It was a problem just base run blocking, sometimes in pass protection. Remember one time they had a blitz from the boundary. The backer came, nobody touched him. Nobody. 2 guys blocked the outside guy at the back. And I think the tight end, they both blocked the same guy in the back of sack, JJ for a sack. I mean, so there was a lot of confusion as far as who to block and why. I mean, it's the base rules, the center sets everything. Once you get to the nose, you start counting. Who's the Mike linebacker? You start counting. And the offensive line and running back should be on the same page. That didn't happen the other night. Did not happen at all.
Yeah, Mark says, I'm looking forward to Vance's defensive breakdown. May soothe my pain, but my ego already showing sky. Won't soothe your pain.
You don't want to see that.
It's not going to soothe your pain.
Because everything we talked about, we're talking about now, those are plays we drew up.
Yeah,
I
yeah. No,
mean,
it's not, it'll satisfy your curiosity about why things went wrong. It will explain where the breakdowns were.
that's exactly what
It
it's
won't
going to
make
do.
you feel better.
You can see our breakdowns. You can see our lack of execution at key moments in the ball game. There are a lot of great plays in there now. There are a lot of great plays that we have, but we pointed out some of the issues that we needed to stop. If we do those type of things, we're gonna win the ball game. We just didn't do them at those particular times. That's all
Right.
it is.
I like this one from Chris Carter. He said, but I love the boys. And Jim's back, so we're going to throw it more with those dangerous wide receivers and the feet of JJ and Edwards. We're taking things to another level. You don't want to lose sight of this was a great season where they exceeded a lot, especially on defense. They exceeded a lot of expectations. First year coordinator, you lose you 3 would have been first round draft picks from that defense last year. And here they are. They were right back in the college football playoff. So you look at them on paper next year, Vance, with what they have returning, and it feels like a team that could be, it is going to be, I think, as good, but could be even better when you consider you got a quarterback who's going to have a year under his belt. You got some receivers that I think as a group are going to be faster and more explosive, and the coaching staff is going to trust them to throw it more. And now your third year in this defensive scheme, you should have a lot more guys really, really comfortable with what to do and where to be.
I think you're right about that. Potentially, because of what we saw in the bowl game, JJ's athleticism, I think they're getting more involved as far as running the ball. I mean, as much as we're in gun to throw some zone replays in there, so now they just can't load up and stop the duo play. I think that's going to benefit us. I think now they also have confidence in him throwing the football. He probably threw the ball in this game as well as he did in any ball game. I was really impressed with some of the throws that he did make. But again, being young as he was, he also was a risk taker. Risk takers sometimes they're gonna make some bad plays, and that's just part of the game. And defensively, we're gonna miss. I mean, Big Mike is leaving us, isn't he? Big Mike gone.
Probably.
If he's first round
He
pick,
hasn't said yet.
if Big Mike is probably first round pick. There's no reason for him to come back. Just being real. I mean, you're gonna miss him. But some other guys, when he was injured, they did a great job. And let's talk about injuries. Through most of the year, the offensive line was healthy. Through most of the year on defense, most of the guys were healthy. For example, when Green got hurt, we found out that the boy Johnson was a real deal Holyfield.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so that's opened the door for him to get on the field and play. And I think you got some young talent, some of the recruits we talked about that's coming in right now can give us some depth. But the key, again, is going to be up front on offense, up front on defense. If those two groups stay intact and stay healthy, I think we could have another great year. I really do.
Yeah, Mark comes through and asks where the hell was C.J. Stokes, the young running back, who it just felt like after the Ohio State game, there was the second series of the game where there were a couple of missed runs in there, some big ones. Would have gone a long way. There was I want to say the first one was a might have been a pin and pull, or maybe it was an insert. Maybe it was one of those. I know one of them was an insert where he tripped over the insert guy. It was an insert in the power,
Mm-hmm.
and there were, I mean, those were big plays, potentially touchdowns, and we didn't see him after that. Didn't see him in the Big Ten championship game. Obviously, didn't see him in this game, and it felt like they just started trusting Khalil Mullings more. That's just my speculation on the matter. My guess is they felt like just young fella just wasn't quite ready to be in that role. But his development is for this offseason is huge, especially if Blake Corum doesn't come back. Like you gotta have another back. You guys, as much as Michigan runs the football,
You
Vance,
need
I
three
mean,
backs. You
yeah,
need three backs.
you need a yeah, man. You so that his development is absolutely huge for this team and for their prospects for next season.
So, I was listening to your roundtable earlier and asked questions, will Blake come back or not? Yeah. In my opinion, the only reason Blake might come back because of his knee, that he needs time. Because in the NFL, they look at a running back, the life expectancy for running back's not very long. So with his knee, if he's not healthy, he's not going to be able to work out. So people are not going to be able to see how fast is he, how does he change directions, how does he catch the football. That might be one of the reasons why Blake might come back. But if he didn't think that way, I don't see him coming back. I really don't. It's not about money, that type of thing. It's about the life expectancy of a running back in the National Football League. It's not very long. So if he thinks his knee is healthy and they come and work him out and the doctor says you're going to be fine, I think Blake's going to leave. I really do. But you're right. We need three running backs. The way we run football, you need three running backs to get you through a full season, to keep you guys healthy.
What did you think of young fella JJ? Look, he had some he had some tough mistakes in this game, right? Make no mistake. And there were a lot of tough mistakes in this game, but you see the pick six, those are immediate points on the board. You know, as a coach, how demoralizing that can be for an offense. I'm sure you had teams that did it, but I was impressed by how he bounced back, and gave his team a chance to win after those setbacks. That's not something you see a lot of guys able to do.
Especially at his age. I thought JJ, I saw things in this game I didn't know he could do. I didn't know he could throw the ball up well. I'm being honest. Because during the year, he kind of misfired several times. In this game, he was on point now. He bought time with his legs, made some throws, and was in pocket. For the most part, he had a good feel for the game. I mean, he showed some great qualities, and he showed, more importantly, leadership. His head never dropped. You can see him on the sideline, hey, we got this guy. We coming back. Don't worry about this. I got this. And that's what you need from your quarterback. It's more about leadership than anything else. If you don't have leadership, you got great talent, you don't have a good football team. But if you have a guy who is a leader and has his average talent, you got a chance to win a championship. You really do. So the expectation from that position, if he stays healthy, I can see you being back right now for another national championship run. I really can't see that.
Yeah. What do you think about this national championship game? I mean, how much of a chance do you give TCU to pull another upset and knock Georgia out too?
Well, they're better than most teams because they playing. But I can promise you right now that Kirby's saying, if you got the quarterback, you better go tackle him. I can promise they're working on taking the quarterback. If they do that, then I think Georgia's going to win by 3 touchdowns. I'm serious. If we'd have taken the quarterback, we'd have won by 3 touchdowns. We had no idea the quarterback could run the football. I can promise you, after that ball game, Kirby Smart is looking at Kansas State in the Big 12 championship, and he's looking at the semifinals. He's saying one thing: we're going to take the quarterback. Somebody, you got the quarterback, take him. If we're in the red zone, we're going to blitz 2 guys from the quarterback side. So if they got it blocked for one, the other guy going to be hitting them in the backfield. That's what you're going to see in that ball game.
John Wall said, you said that all day, great, Vance. Everything you said, you watched this breakdown with Vance Bedford. I promise you, when you watch the game, you will find yourself saying, man, Vance, that's exactly what Vance said. That's what Vance was talking about. I do it all the time. I'm sure you faithful watchers, you do the same. Man, that's what Vance said that. Vance said we were going to see that. I do it every game, Vance.
I mean, the game is simple. I don't have a video that they have, but it's certain things. Everybody gives Nick Saban and Bill Belichick a lot of credit. But they go out, they're going to stop the plays that you do. They're going to take away your best plays. Everybody does that. Some people just do it better than others because they got better ball players. We went to that ball game. We didn't take away Duke as a quarterback. It's just that simple. We did not take him away. And he hurt us. He hurt us by buying time with his legs. He hurt us by scrambling. I think it was the second series, Sam. I didn't illustrate this. Sam, we rushed 3 guys. I'm yelling at him, what the heck are we doing? He's sitting back there. We dropping 8. Okay, your defensive end is taking number 18. He had to drop about 15 yards. He could stop the outcut. He could. He not saying rushing 3. Next time we rush 4, and I said in that game we got to stay in our rush lanes. Well, they didn't stay in their rush lanes. It's 3rd down and 8. He scrambles for about 15 yards. I mean, the little details of what we had to do to win that ball game, we did not do that. We forgot that the quarterback was the guy we had to stop to win the ball game. And that's just how simple it is.
Yeah. Hey, let's try to lead the people with a good taste in their mouths, Vance. Because and real quick, Elizabeth Carter, should the referees have taken away Roman Wilson's touchdown? No, Elizabeth, they should not.
No.
Vance went over that a little bit earlier. He did not have possession of the football when he first made contact with the ground. He did not gain possession until he fell into the end zone. It Even if you thought that was in question, let's say you weren't sure when he had possession of the football, because that's the best you certainly couldn't say for sure he didn't have possession of, or you couldn't say for sure that he did have possession of the football when he hit the ground. There's no way you could say that. The most you could say is I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure. And if you aren't quite sure, you got to go with the call on the field.
That's right.
What's the call on the field? Call on the field was touchdown. Right. So I just I don't know how they went out and they sort of went out and kind of Al said re-legislated the play. I don't think you re-legislated the play. I think you went out there and made some stuff up. You went
Yep.
out there and said something that happened that you can't say. You can't look at that and find a consensus where you got multiple people saying he had possession of that football as soon as he hit the ground.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And man, it's obvious he bobbled the ball. That's why I said it was a touchdown. He bobbled the ball. He didn't get control of the ball till he was in the end zone. I mean, just the officials, that was a bad. They had several bad calls, but that's you can't take it back. That's part of the game.
Right, and so the reason why I don't harp on it too much, yes, they took a touchdown off the board. It was an egregious, ridiculous call that they should be held accountable for. Michigan had the football on the 1-yard line after that.
Yep,
If you can't score from the 1-yard line, it's hard to have sympathy about the bad call, right?
that's right. You had opportunities we didn't take advantage of, and again, there are a lot of good things in that ball game. Not a few, but a lot of good things. But at the end of the day, they made one more better play than we did. And that's the score, and that's the difference in the ball game. And like I said, I got a lot of love and respect for the team and for the coaches. So they did a great job. I thought JJ fought his tail off. He did some things I didn't think he had the ability to do. So he showed me a lot in that ball game. And I just think, again, we execute, we win the ball game. We did some things we hadn't done the entire season, especially on defense.
Yeah. Look, folks, I want to repeat what I said at the very start. You're giving TCU credit. Tough way to end the season. It leaves a bitter taste in your mouth when you know looking at how the game played out. You know your football team was better, but that football team was better that day. Makes it tough to swallow, and it makes it tough to look back on the season in totality and see it for what it was, and that was a great year because you're so caught up in the disappointment of the moment that you can't take a minute to be like, man, that was a great ride. And that's how I'm starting to finally think about it. It was a great ride, made greater, Vance, because we was riding with you. What you say? Let's ride. We was riding with you all year, Vance. You
Man,
know,
I appreciate it. Like I said, it wasn't a great year. It was an outstanding year. And as I said when we first started, I thought we might win 10 games. Instead, we were undefeated, Big Ten champions, playing in the college football playoffs. That's an testament to the coaching staff, to the players, and to me, if you're a Michigan fan, I know it's some disappointment because we thought we should have won that ball game, and I totally agree with you. But what a great season. How many teams wish they could have been what Michigan was? It's a lot of people. So to me, if you're a big blue fan, you should be excited about everything that happened this year, from the coaches to the players, and just look back on it and say, we had a fantastic year. We back-to-back Big Ten champions. And that in itself is very impressive.
yeah. Well, I would like to think, and I said this on the film study, that We've been doing this for a few years now. We're getting better every year. We're gonna be even better next year, folks.
There you go.
We picked up some tricks, added to kind of split up the commentary in the film study, gave you folks a chance to start asking questions, which I think took it to another level. So the best is yet to come, and I really feel like this team is going to be in the same position next year with the kind of seasoning that they got for some of the young guys. This year, they're going to be veterans next year. They're going to be, more immersed in the scheme on defense. You feel like they're going to be more balanced offensively next year as well, run and pass. A lot to look forward to with this squad. And hopefully, you people will be back. You'll be back with us on the breakdowns. Hopefully, you people will be telling your people, your fellow Michigan fans about these breakdowns. And when you do, make sure they like the video. Make sure you do the same. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And the way you really show love is you go over to the MichiganInsider.com. That's where it goes down on the daily 24/7 Sports Network is where we do it football, basketball, and recruiting. And $1 gets you in your first month. Got some big time recruiting stories this month. Nicholas Harbor, 6'5", 230 pounds, 10.28 in the 100-meter, and said, "Hey, I'm a tight end wide receiver hybrid." Can you imagine that dude lining up at tight end for Michigan and the damage you can cause with as much as they use a tight end? Come on.
That'd be special, boy. They'll stretch somebody's defense really fast. He'll open up the running game because they'd be scared to death of him.
Yeah, man. So looking forward to that. You keep up with that recruitment. Of course, Jim Harbaugh, he issued a statement making it clear he plans to be back coaching here at the University of Michigan. He said, "No man knows the future," which is exactly how I would handle it too, right? You don't know what somebody's going to come at you and potentially offer you. What if somebody comes at you, offers you full control of the team and $12 million, $13 million a year? I mean, come on, man.
I'm out. Hey, Sam, I'll see you later. I'm gone. I appreciate everything I said, but it's a new day. My mind changed. I slept on it, prayed on it. Bye.
Right, right. So, at any rate, folks, we appreciate you. We appreciate you riding with us all year long. Be sure to come back with us next year. And we're going to have some things in the offseason. We're going to do some things around the spring game and, kind of maybe do some breakdowns of particular concepts and plays to give you guys like a glossary or a key that you can put. Like, so when Van says rock, what's rock? When Van says cowboy, what's cowboy, right? When Van says quarter, half, what's that? I know we've gone over these things, but if you had a key that you could point to and say, "Oh, this is what it is," and be able to apply it to these breakdowns. I've been thinking about doing something like that. So we'll get into some of those things in the off season. But hope you learned a lot. Hope that these videos help your enjoyment, help enhance your enjoyment of the season. Hope you'll be back with us next year when we return for more of Michigan football breakdowns focused on the defense with Vance Bedford.
Go blue.